So this week, if you guys know, we're going through the disciples, right? And Brian tried matching up some of the speakers' personalities with the different person that they're talking about, right? Like Donnie's background, Donald, as Dave called him. Donald's friend Thomas. Donnie and Thomas had a lot of similarities, and they were doubting. They'd been around the word, doubted it, and needed to see that proof, and it caused better belief. And like Brian today with the burning of Zoe's hand, now she's got like scars for life, but she won't touch that thing again because Brian is a lot like John. Well, the one I was asked, it was kind of an insult, but I get it. I do. I was asked to talk about Peter. And Peter is loud, impulsive, selfish, but he's also passionate. I'm not kidding you. The more I read about this, I was looking into Peter, the more I'm like, I like this guy a lot. And the more I liked him, the more I went, this is why Brian gave him to me, because Peter would like himself too. He would. Peter would be like, oh, I'm awesome. The more I read this, but there's also bad things, so I have to talk about both, which is a little bit whatever, I'll be honest, which is another one of his strengths, according to Brian. So Peter, like I said, is think second, act first, almost all the time. How many of you guys would say that you are you do things or say things without thinking first? I'm absolutely that person. Ridiculously stupid okay, I'm not trying to be arrogant when I say this. My brain, I have a very, very, very fast brain. Fast twitch, we have one of those Echo Dot things at our house, and I play Jeopardy with that thing, which is why I answered the question in Jeopardy form. I play Jeopardy with that all the time. In the morning, putting on my dress shoes, Alexa, play Jeopardy. I like my brain. But my mouth is even faster, and that's terrifying. Extremely terrifying how fast my mouth, I'll say things, and my brain will comprehend what I just said and went, ooh, probably should not have said that. That was not good. Have you guys ever had that happen? Yeah, I'm sure everyone here has had something like that. So I'm going to get into how this is a good thing, how this is a bad thing, and how God can use this, right? But first, let's start off with Peter as the disciple, as the man. Peter was actually not known as Peter. Peter's name originally was Simon. Does anyone know what Simon means? Extremely ironic what his name meant. Simon meant listen or hear, which is his parents definitely dropped the ball on that naming because he definitely did not listen or hear first. He was always talk first. So later on, God was like, that's a dumb name. Jesus was a dumb name. And so he said, I'm going to rename you Peter or Petra, which means, does anyone know? Rock. Who said that? Aaron. That's kind of cool, Aaron, I guess. I was hoping for a student, but it means rock. He's extremely stubborn, right? So we went from a guy who had a false name in terms of, I hear and I listen, to now Jesus said, no, you were going to be Peter. You're going to be the rock. Peter was a fisherman. And I know minimal about fishing just because I'm so much like Peter in the sense I don't like fishing. It's so boring to me. I don't like holding still. I don't like being quiet. Taylor gets it. I'm not like that. People tell me I'd like ice fishing because it's a little bit quicker, but dude, I remember as a kid wanting to fish and throwing it in there and you just watch this bobber. And I was I lost multiple fishing poles because I would walk away and a fish would grab it and take the whole entire pole into the water. Because I hated doing it. It was terrible. I would get bored the whole time. But Peter apparently he was a terrible fisherman. But Peter was a fisherman. He was the brother of another disciple, Andrew, and they were disciples of Christ. Now, if you guys know anything about how Jesus gathered his disciples, right? It wasn't just he took applications, posted them on monster.com. That's not how Jesus got his disciples. He literally called them. So I think these are the verses, Parker, that I had you put up there. Luke 5:9. Nope, not 6. There we go. For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken, and so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, or Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people. So they pulled their boats up to shore, left everything, and followed him. That is a crazy impulsive decision. You are a fisherman with a family, a way of providing, and then some dude shows up and says, hey, drop everything and follow me. And he does. If that happened today, we would call that guy a crazy person. Absolutely. I don't know how much thought went into it, but knowing Peter, probably not much thought went into that decision, honestly. It was probably a gut feeling, a heart feeling. He just knew, I need to obey this guy, I need to follow him. And that's one instance where being impulsive with your decision making was a great thing for Peter. It was something that I'd like to say I would do, but honestly, because I have a logical brain when I think about it, that's craziness, isn't it? Can you imagine you guys are at school and some guy shows up and says, not Robert, some other guy shows up and says, hey, follow me.
Robert's not a bad guy.
Right, Robert's not. But think about that. Like if somebody just said, drop everything, forget your family, and just follow me. That's a crazy thing. I mean, I think a lot of times we read this statement, we're like, oh, that was so cool, he just followed Jesus. No. It was a crazy thing, he followed Jesus. It doesn't make sense. And it absolutely should have happened, and I'm glad he did. But it's not the right thing what we would tell ourselves to do. He definitely did that not using his brain. He definitely did that using his heart, right? And using his gut. He is he never said this, I did. I love Nike, and the motto for Nike is just do it. If you guys have ever seen anything in the world with Nike, that is how Peter pretty much just lived his life. Just do it. He said, put down your stuff, follow me. Peter, all right, just do it. I'm going to go do this. He would get in trouble. He'd say things. He would just do it. He probably shouldn't have said a lot of things he said, but he would just do it. Little thinking, jump right into it, no fear. And it's awesome to watch. It's awesome to see, especially in other people that are just do it kind of people, how that can be used for the gospel. There's a person, all of you guys know, that is a major just do it person. That's Wes at the church. God has used that just do it attitude. Absolutely. Look at the Rock's ministry because of the things that he's done, right? Fear-free. He's also, if you've heard any of his stories about stupid things like crashing his dirt bike or crashing planes or doing other things where he should have been seriously injured. The just do it is also bad sometimes, but you kind of have to have the good with the bad a little bit. There's two sides of the coin. That fearless attitude is one of the reasons why God and Jesus, they used Peter. Peter was one of the most influential people in starting the church, and it's because of that. He was a visionary, hence my awesome shirt that I wore tonight. Visionary, and he was fearless moving forward. I like to say that I'm fearless about things. I hate spiders. If you're in my cabin, you know I hate spiders, which is a different kind of fear. That's like logical, sensical kind of fear. Like spiders are terrible. But hold on, flying spiders not cool. But when it comes to many other things, I don't think, I just do, which is really dumb a lot of times. And I was trying to think of a story that I could tell you guys about how I've used this fearlessness in a good way. I couldn't really think of one besides, like, some people get scared of public speaking, and I don't know, I just do it. I get up here because Brian told me to. But I had another story about when I probably should have been seriously injured. And it involves a kayak and a wakeboarding boat and a tow rope. And Brian, I don't know if I've ever told you this story. It's one of my worst. My friend and I, we decided one day it would be a good idea to get pulled behind his, ski boat, pull me, and I'd be in a kayak. I don't know, guys. Again, no thinking went into this. It was all impulsive decision-making. I just did it without thinking first. So the idea was I would be in the kayak. Well, first we tried it on the dock, and he pulled me, and I just didn't go anywhere. So then I got in the kayak. I'm sitting there, and can I sit in your seat really quick? I'm so sorry. It just makes more sense than me sitting on the ground. So if those of you that know what a kayak looks like, it's long, and it's got like the hole, right? And so I'm sitting not in it with my legs straight like you probably should have been, which is good. I had my legs kind of up around the edge. My knees were sticking out. Again, I didn't think, okay? I just did. So that's what I'm doing. Thank you. And I trusted him, said he'd go slow. And so I'm holding on to the the rope that you would use when you're water skiing. And I'm sitting in this kayak like this. And I said, all right, we're good, thinking he's going to slowly roll into it. No, not him. So he just guns it. And I'm going, it had to have been like 30. It was like skipping. The bottom of a kayak, if you know, is completely smooth. There's no like fins or anything. And I didn't have a paddle or anything. So the thing, we're going, crazy fast, and the thing starts to turn. And I'm going, I don't know how to get it to not turn, because there's nothing, like I can't lean one way or the other. I'm just at the mercy of this. And around that time, we're going past, friends and family are in the house, and I'm thinking like they're gonna be cheering, and they're not. They're like horrified. Like, this is the worst idea I've ever had. And honestly, it may have been. So the thing starts turning, and I can see it happening. And we don't have a spotter, because again, we didn't think, we just did. So I'm like yelling at him. He can't hear me because he's not paying attention. And he's going faster and faster, and the boat keeps turning and turning. And eventually, I'm almost sideways, and I'm thinking, this is gonna end so bad. It's like one of those moments where you went, I should not have been here. Well, yeah, but the rope was the only thing keeping me up. So I let go, and immediately I just tumbled. The whole thing, I broke the kayak, all of it. I got thrown out of the kayak. It was so bad. People on shore were screaming, like asking, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you alive? And it was terrible. I know for a fact that if I would have been sitting in that kayak with my feet straight, I probably would have snapped my back. Because the kayak got tossed and like half my body's in the kayak and the other half's not. So luckily my feet were out, so like my knees were out of it, so it threw me out of the kayak. I had bruises down my back, bruises down my leg. It was one of the worst ideas I've ever had in my life. And I've never done it again. But the point of it was, I did not think. I just did it. And you would think, like, you guys all made the same noise, like you're an idiot? Right, I am an idiot. But you know what? That was great, because it was great in the sense that I didn't think about it. I just went and did it. And God can use that kind of an attitude for his glory. He didn't use it for his glory in that moment. He used it for my own humility. So, but do you get what I'm saying? Like that fear-based thing, that was not even a thing. I should have been afraid to do that. And honestly, now as a more mature adult, I would totally be afraid to do that. Mature, right? I would be more afraid to do that because it's dumb and stupid, and I would probably not get another shot at surviving that. But that fear was not there. I just did it. We've also done things where we put snowmobile engines in a golf cart and then decided in the middle of the winter, let's go and test drive it. And the headlights didn't work, so we found all of the mag light flashlights and duct taped them together. And he's in the driver's seat, and I'm holding onto the mag lights underneath my armpits. And like literally, if we wanted to turn somewhere, I turned my body to shine where we were going. And we crashed that really bad too. Like again, not thinking. These are just, I think second, I do first. And these are bad examples of it. But Peter is the same way. There's a story in Mark 6, I think starting verse 45. So let me give you a little bit of background for the verse. There was the disciples. They're in a boat out in the sea, and storm kicks up, waves and all that. And they look and they go, oh shoot, what is that on the water? Is that a ghost? Like they can't tell what is on this water. And it's Jesus who's walking on water, which has got to be one of the craziest things any human has ever seen on this earth. Walking on water has got to be right up there next to like watching a sea part in half. And so they're like terrified, like what's going on? Jesus is like, hey, it's me, it's fine. Peter goes, if it's you, call me out to you. Because Peter doesn't think first, Peter does first. So Peter hops out of a boat. Never in his life before that moment, minutes earlier, had he ever seen a human walk on water. And Peter immediately goes, I got this. I can do this. Because he's not thinking like a logical human being would go, no, gravity, you're fat. Not thinking this. He just goes and does this thing, right? But that's Peter. That's what Peter is. Peter just does these things straight out of faith, out of his, his belief, his gut feeling. He did these things, and then he's like, I'll think about the consequences later to him. Granted, I think it was Donnie, you talked about this. What happens is, he gets out there, all of a sudden the waves start crashing up next to him as he's walking on water again. Walking on water, it's crazy. And he starts getting scared and starts sinking, and Jesus comes over and helps him and throws him back in the boat, and it was a whole long lesson. The point is, to me in this story, is he stepped out of the boat in a storm. Have any of you ever decided to step out of a boat in a storm? No. You guys all have brains. Like, it doesn't make sense to do, but he just did it. He said, hey, if that's actually you, call me out to you, and I can walk on water too, because I know it's Jesus. Jesus calls us out of boats a lot. You know, things that we're afraid of, like a normal human should have been afraid to walk on water in the storm. You know, and like he's not wearing a swimsuit, he's probably wearing like some, I don't know, say Middle Eastern robe or whatever, but he's wearing clothes that are probably not made for water. And so he starts walking on water. Well, we're called to not have that kind of fear and to go out and just have faith and walk with Jesus, regardless of the circumstances. One of the other things that's really awesome about Peter in the fact that he's a visionary and he goes by his heart before he goes by his brain. Mark 8:27. Jesus and his disciples went on to the villages around Caesarea Philippi. On the way, he asked them, who do people say I am? They replied, some say John the Baptist, which was Jesus' cousin who came before Jesus and was kind of paving the way, telling people that Jesus was going to be coming. Others say Elijah, who's one of the prophets from the Old Testament, and still others say one of the prophets, which I guess could have been Elijah. But what about you, he asked. Who do you say I am? Peter answered, you are the Messiah. So the other disciples, they give logical reasoning behind like what people are saying, like, oh, some people say you're John the Baptist, some people say you're this, not answering the question, kind of like, dodging the actual topic at hand there. And Peter just goes all in, 100%, like doesn't say, I think you're the Messiah. People might, I think you could be this. Like, no. Matter of fact, you are the Messiah. He just straight up says it. And I believe that's the first disciple to openly just say that in the Gospels, right? He knows something about Jesus and the way Peter acts. He just goes, no, you are the Messiah. And that faith in Christ is one of the reasons why he was, again, so influential in starting the church and building the church. Now, that's some of the awesome things about Peter and how he was a visionary and how he was fearless. The other side of that coin is being impulsive and brash. Have you guys ever heard brash? You want to know what brash is? It's right here. I am extremely brash, which is not a good thing. And Peter was extremely brash as well. Impulsive is, again, doing things quickly without thinking them through or thinking through the consequences of what it is. Like I said, my mouth moves so fast, and sometimes it works faster than I can tell it not to, which is really weird. I have damaged so many relationships in my life because I'll just say things. I don't know, again, just words come out of my mouth. And I didn't put any thought to them. There they go, into the world. And now to cause any kind of damage. Peter was the same way. When Christ was arrested, and he was getting ready to be crucified, there was a situation with Peter. Earlier that evening, when they were at dinner, he had said to Peter, Jesus, that you would deny me 3 times. And Peter, quick as always, goes, nope, not going to happen. I would never do that. Never in a million years, which is what you would think the correct answer would be, right? But he was just so certain of it, there's no way. Jesus, you're wrong. Who tells Jesus he's wrong? Peter, because he's an idiot. Tells Jesus, you're wrong. Well then, after Jesus is arrested, Parker, let's go to Matthew 16:21. From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law. And that he must be killed and on the 3rd day be raised to life. So he's talking about the crucifixion, dead, comes back to life. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him because, again, Peter is an idiot. I want you guys to understand. He's awesome, but he does not think before he does things. literally rebuking Jesus. That is one of the dumber things that anyone's ever done, ever. Like telling Christ, God in human form, who never committed a sin, you're wrong. What? Can you imagine if you guys told your parents, Mom, you're wrong? Would that go over very well? No, and sometimes your parents actually might be wrong. Think about that. That doesn't go well. Now, what if you had somebody who literally was never, ever wrong? And you were the person who decided that you were arrogant enough to tell that person that they were wrong. Exactly, you're laughing, but that's Peter. That's Peter, absolutely. He rebuked Jesus Christ because he's just impulsive and doesn't think through things and doesn't think through the consequences of things. And I'm very, very similar. I'm extremely impulsive with lots of things in my life. Buying things like shoes and what? I'm impulsive with everything. I probably shouldn't have a card to swipe. I'm impulsive in the things that, I do in terms of like at work. I should probably be doing this, and somebody else comes over and says, let's do this. And I go, okay, let's go this way. I'm dumb. I'm like a sheep. And then I'm also impulsive in the words that I say to people. I am extremely quick to judge. Peter was extremely quick to judge. If I hear somebody say something, I'll look at them and go, well, you're an idiot. Not thinking that maybe that would hurt their feelings. I just call them out on that. Or if I see somebody wearing something, not even thinking about like, oh, maybe that girl has a different, maybe she had a different upbringing. Maybe, I don't know what her life is. I don't know what home she grew up in. I have no idea what her struggles are. But I'll see something she's wearing and go, ho. Like, not to her, but I'll say that, and still it's in here, and that's the issue. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, the issue is, it's in here. Why do I not think before I speak? You guys raised your hands and said that you have the same issue. You guys say things without thinking about the damages that it's going to cause. You guys say different things because it's what you felt at the moment. It was that gut feeling, right? And you don't care what happens afterward. You just threw it out there, and you know what? So be it. Let everything, explosions. I'm going to go this way. Someone else has to clean up that mess. You know what? The worst thing is when you have to clean up your own mess. Your own mess that you've created. I've had to do that several times in my life. And guys, it is one of the most humiliating, humbling things I've ever done. Where I'll say something, and because I'm so dumb, I won't even think about or remember that I said it. I'll say something about someone, not even thinking about it in any way, go on my merry way, and then find out days later that they're mad at me, or man, they're really, really upset because of what I said. Like, has that ever happened to anyone in here? That you hurt someone's feelings by words you said without thinking? Yeah. Man, that sucks. And I would love to just sit back and go, shoot, who cares? Let them deal with it. I can say whatever I want. But you know what? You can't. Like, you have to be held accountable for our words and for our actions. And even though, yeah, I'm impulsive, it's part of my nature. Get over it. I can't do that. Not as a follower of Christ. I can't do that. So I've had to actually call up people that I know that I've insulted or I've hurt in the past and apologize. And that is the worst. Like, straight up, one of the worst things in the world. Because going into it, hey, this person, A, not very happy with you. B, probably doesn't like you very much. And C, may want to punch me, depending on what I said. So that's one of the most humiliating things is calling them up or even going face to face and going, listen, I should not have said that. And I'm so sorry. Guys, like I'm almost about to cry. Like, I hate that. I hate it so much. And yet, my entire life, I keep doing it. I do it all the time. And I mean, I've gotten better, but like, I still do it. I think I just did it to John, a month or so ago. Like, I just say things because I'm dumb. And Peter said things because he's dumb. we just have this impulsive nature, and that's not an excuse. It's just a reason behind why it happens. But it's not an excuse to say, hey, it can keep happening. One of the greatest things about Peter, and one of the greatest things about that fearlessness and that impulsive behavior, those two things can be used when you have a passion. He was extremely passionate. You guys all have passions in your life. Every person ever has a passion of some sort. Even if your passion is to not have a passion, that's a passion. Right. Your passion could be music, sports, friends, girlfriend, whatever. Your passion could be Jesus, which is what it should be. Whatever your passion is, that's usually what we put our time and our effort towards, right? That's at least how it is with me. I'm extremely good at hyper-focusing because of my personality. I hyper-focus on things really, really well. If I've got a task at hand and it's something that I know, hey, there's the carrot at the end that you really want, shoot, everything else is gone. I can focus on that. I can see the long-term thing. A lot of times, I don't see the details, and that's where people get hurt because I'm just so focused on this end goal. Peter was, a lot of times, he was so focused on where he needed to see, what he needed to go to, what he needed to be, that he would just go there and just damage was left behind him. And that happens in my life too. I want to go to this. I'm here now. I want to be there. I go and don't even think about the consequences to other people when I go. And that's not okay, especially if my passion is not aligned with what Christ wants my passion to be. That's the biggest issue. Because he gave me this double-sided coin, right? I mean, God created me the way I am. I can use it to his glory. I can use it to push the gospel. I mean, I'm extremely personable, I guess. I don't know, what's it called? Extrovert? Outward? Whatever. I'm very good at talking, which can be great because, in order to spread the gospel, usually talking's involved. But if I'm not going towards the gospel, man, I can use that to cause a lot of damage, or I can go and better myself. I could be one heck of a salesman. I know I could be. But that'd be chasing my dream, right? And money and all that stuff. I have to make sure my passion is aligned. I have to make sure that the passion that I have in my heart is the passion that Christ wants. I can't be selfish. I can't be focused on myself and focused on where I want to go and use these things that God gave me for me. He didn't give them to me for me, right? Like, I was really, really, really good at sports. Like, really good. Like, went to track, wherever in college, really, really fast. And you know what? I don't remember ever once sharing the gospel at a track meet. I don't remember ever once sharing the gospel with any of my track teammates. I don't remember ever having Jesus in any way involved in my track life, except maybe, I think the back of one of my cleats had like Jeremiah 29:11, something like that. Like, I used that talent that God gave me for me, all for me, and now I don't have it, which also is because I got old. But I didn't use it for his glory. I used it for my glory. I had that passion for Brennan, and eventually God's like, yeah, you're not doing with it what you could be for his glory. And that passion has now moved on to different things. I like to say that that passion has moved on from me and my personal sports to God, but it hasn't. Not the way it should. Not the way that it needs to be. Like, my passion now, I'd like to say, is all for God. But I get passionate about stupid little things all the time. And I don't say like, oh, I kind of like it for a little bit. No, like, I get like passionate about it. I wanted a bike, and so I took like months researching every type of bike you possibly could. I remember I'd wake up in the morning on like a Saturday and go, oh man, Lindsay, I don't have anything to do today. I can get on my computer and just look at bikes. Who does that? Like, what? I'm an idiot. You did that, okay. But like, I'm so good. Like, think about that. Some of you are just bored out of your mind even thinking about looking at bikes online. I'm saying some of you are. Others of you, if I said I'm extremely passionate about sports in general, that like my brain, I just memorize statistics all the time. Numbers, it's just, everything is in my head. And so instead of like going to my Bible and maybe memorizing scripture, and memorizing verses. I go to like Wikipedia and memorize the starting lineup for like the 1978 Chicago Bulls. Like, why? I don't know what the 78 Bulls are. Scott, your brain's the same way. I know it is. You just remember stats for things. But I don't think Scott's actually intentionally trying to remember them. I'm actually doing that, Scott. Like, I go on there and I'll read it and I'll memorize that. And sometimes I get guilty going, why am I not reading my Bible with the same kind of passion I have to memorize these things? I get so passionate about it that like literally 2 of the FOBs this week, I've spent an hour arguing with kids about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. 2 hours of my life arguing with 13-year-olds about LeBron James. 14, whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? Like my personality, the way I am, the way I can just, like I act and I operate, I'm using it for Brennan. And I'm wasting my time. I'm using it for my glory. Even though I'm right and Michael Jordan's better, it doesn't matter. It's all stupid. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is what's in my Bible and what is in my heart with Christ, but that's not what I'm pursuing. And it's what I need to be pursuing. And it's what you guys need to be pursuing. I know you guys all have passions. You guys love your sports, love your friends, love music, whatever. Sometimes, honestly, church can be a distraction. I know that blows your mind. There's a story of Mary and Martha. Like, it needs to be about the relationship with Christ, not necessarily serving in a church. Serving is absolutely what we're called to be, but if that's the extent of your relationship, you need to stop doing that and start focusing on God. We need to be driving towards Christ at all times with our passion. And eventually, you know what? Peter was able to do that. Peter thought he was doing the right thing all the time. Even when he did something wrong, he probably, when he did it, thought he was right. I'm the same way. I say things, I'm like, I'm right, deal with it. And then I have to go back later and apologize for it, or I have to get lucky that I don't break my neck doing stupid things because I think I'm right. I think that this is correct. I think this is the right way to go. But you know what? It's not the right way to go. It's not the right thing to do if it's not going towards Christ. I think a lot of us tonight need to really examine ourselves, examine the passions that we have, examine the things that we're focused towards in our life, and see if it's what God wants us to do. Is it what God wants us to be? Like, are we willing to die for the same things that Christ would be willing to die for? Are we? Like, Peter actually died for Christ. He said he'd be willing to, and you know what? Jesus, he took him up on that. And you know what? Peter died a martyr for Christ. Eventually, he got aligned, and he was using everything he had, all of the fearlessness, all of the leadership, the passion, was going towards pushing that church and pushing that gospel out. The reason why we're here, Peter pushed it. Peter pushed it out along with the other disciples. They had a passion, and they were used to get the gospel out to the world. Can you imagine if Peter spent hours looking at bikes online? Would we be here? Who knows? I mean, probably not because the internet doesn't exist, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he finally used it for the right things. He finally used his skills, his talents, his personality, everything he had. He finally got it down to go towards God and go towards Christ. And you know what? It changed the world. It absolutely changed the world. And all of us need to ask, are we willing to die for the same things? Are we willing to die for what Christ is willing to die for? Christ died for the sins of others. He died for that gospel. He is the gospel. Am I willing to die for the gospel? Are you willing to die for the gospel? We should be. If we sit here and say we are Christians, we should be willing to die for the gospel. I'm not saying it's actually going to happen, but we need to be willing in case it ever did. Does that make sense? Like, it's a weird concept, I know, when you actually think about, like, would I actually be willing to die for anything? I don't know. When I think about it, like, I don't know, but I know I need to be. I need to work through that. I need to be willing. I need to make sure that Christ is what everything matters in my life. It's it. It's everything. The gospel and Jesus Christ is what I'm pushing everything towards. All of the things that he's given me, all those passions need to be going towards him. And you guys need to ask yourselves the same question. Maybe there's things in your life tonight that, I mean, they're not necessarily bad. You know what? Sports aren't bad. Inherently not bad at all. But if that's become your passion, you're not even seeing the gospel used through that. You're not even seeing how, I'm not even talking to kids about this. I just focus on it for me. I focus on it for myself because I like doing it, and that's it. You need to think about that real hard. If you love music, you love playing the instrument, whatever it is, you love reading books, I don't care. None of these things are inherently bad. But man, if they are taking the top thing on your shelf above Jesus Christ, they are bad. I'm not trying to beat anyone up, but like, guys, we need to see what truly matters, right? What truly matters is the gospel and Jesus Christ. And we need to be able to put him first and foremost in our life. We need to put all of our passion on him. Like, I can still like riding my bike. That's perfectly fine. But I need to make sure that Jesus is more important. Like, I'm giving him my time and not literally looking forward to looking at bikes. I can't do that. Imagine how many people during the time that I was doing that, long term, imagine how many other people I could have been sharing the gospel to during the hours of time that I was doing this for Brennan. Imagine all of the people I could have been sharing the gospel to through the hours that I was memorizing sports stats, or I was going through track practice. Imagine all of my teammates that I saw in track that, who knows if they're ever even going to get a chance to hear the gospel again. Like, their blood's on my hands. That's what the Bible says. Their blood is on my hands. Because I was so focused on Brennan and using all the things God's given me. Like, oh, God gave me fast legs. Woo. No, God gave me fast legs so I can have an in to share the gospel, because everything's towards the gospel. Everything's towards Christ. I want you guys to stand up tonight. And the band's going to come up here and sing. And it's not like a raise your hand, whatever. But if there's things in your life that you know that you have a passion for, and that is taking the precedent over Christ, you guys can stand. Stand. We're going to sing. If there are things in your life, though, tonight, guys, listen. If there are things in your life that you know that's the passion, that's everything. God gave you all of these things, and you're going towards that, and it's not Christ. I pray that you guys think about that. You guys are willing to not necessarily lay it down, but repent for that. I've got things in my life that I need to repent for tonight as well. I just hope that all of us are willing to do that. So let's bow our heads. Lord, I just thank you for this opportunity tonight. I thank you for Peter, and for the life of Peter and the example of Peter, showing us what can be done with that passion, that fearlessness, that leadership. The damage that can be done if it's for us and for himself. Lord, I just pray that anyone in here that is realizing that they have things out of order, that they need to get that passion towards you and be able to die for the same things you would. Lord, I just pray that they will help lay that down. In your name, amen.